What's up, my hungry gringos, and especially my gringo expats in Colombia? Have you ever walked through a Colombian grocery store and been completely confused by all the ingredients that you don't recognize? Well, that's why I'm here for you. Welcome to the Gringo's Guide to Colombia. Today we're going to be making juices. There's a lot of fruits that people make into juices here in Colombia, but you got to know how to do it right. So today we're going to be making two different juices. The first is from a fruit named Uchuva. Have you ever been walking through the grocery store and seen what looks like a cherry tomato, but when you bite into it, it's a little bit sweet? That's Uchuva. It's okay to be eaten raw, but I think it's best in a juice, and that's why we're making Uchuva juice today. The second one is a little bit more difficult to process. It's called Tomate de Arbol. It's a very confusing name, I know. It literally means tree tomato, but it has nothing to do with tomatoes, but does come from trees. So what we're gonna do is we're going to explore Colombia without ever leaving the supermarket. Welcome to the Gringo's Guide to Colombia. So the best thing about this recipe is it's only two ingredients. You've got your little uchuvas over here. We're gonna put them in our blender. And you got some water. And you're gonna put the water at the same level as the uchuva berries. If you want it to be a little thinner, you can put more water. If you want it to be a little bit thicker, put a little less water. And if you need to loosen it up a little bit more and you think it's too thick, you can just put more water after you're done blending. Now we're gonna blend it at a really, really high speed because we wanna shred the skin and all the seeds that are in these uchuvas. So if you want, you can add a little bit of sugar. I don't like it. I don't really have that much of a sweet tooth, so I just keep it the water and the berries. You're gonna pour it and then enjoy. Muy deliciosa. Absolutely delicious. You can pass it through a strainer if you want to, but I don't. So that's how you make uchuva juice. So the first thing we're gonna do is cut the top off of our tomates de arbol. And then we're gonna put our tomates de arbol in a pot with enough water to cover them up. Set it to boil and then wait for 8 minutes once it starts boiling. And when the skin starts to split, we're gonna put it in cold water with ice. Look at that. Now you can see right here where the skin is split. That's how you know that it's gonna be done. And we're gonna leave it in there for a few minutes until it's not hot anymore, and then we're gonna put it in the blender. All right, now we're gonna put them in our blender over here and peel them. And peeling is not as hard as you think. Just kind of squeeze it out right there. And then we're gonna put enough water in here to cover our tomates. And next we're gonna put in a 1/3 cup of sugar. Let's get to blending. Next, we're gonna pass it through a strainer with holes that aren't too big and aren't too small. And there you have it. Jugo de Tomate de Arbol. Until next time, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Thanks so much for joining us this week, my hungry gringos. It was awesome hanging out with you, as always. If it's your first time on the channel, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you can get a new awesome recipe in your inbox every single Wednesday. And a huge thanks to Quills, who is our first Patreon supporter. She has an awesome podcast called The Talking Geek that you definitely need to check out, especially if you're like me and are into geeky things. You can check out my Patreon on patreon.com/thehungrygringo. And if you made this recipe, send me a picture. Mention me on Instagram. My info is below. So until next time, this is the Hungry Gringo signing off.